Hello and welcome to the Darby Creek Diaries. I'm Gail Thompson, and I'm sorry I haven't been here for a little while, but I have real good reasons that I'll show you later. Today we're going to make a spinner card. I had a request for that and for my planning process, so I'm going to hit both of those at the same time using this Hero Arts Fancy Snowflake Ornament die. We're going to dive right in. You hear chirping in the background. That's my daughter's lovebird. I've been waiting for him to stop, but it doesn't sound like he's going to. Anyway, I got my distress inks out. I have Blueprint Sketch, Salty Ocean, and Tumbled Glass. And I'm just getting some color down. It's not real fancy blending. I'm not the world's best blender. A lot of this winds up being for naught when you see me screw up later anyway. But anyhow, I dab off the first little bit before I put it on the paper, and I go off the edge first and bring it on, and then I know I'm going to cut that edge off anyway, so don't worry about that. And I wanted to kind of leave a light part in the middle for my sentiment, but once again, I will show you in a little bit that it didn't wind up mattering, but I wanted to keep it in here anyway. So now I'm using, that's the large circle die I was trying to fit in. I'm taking some water and just misting the paper like lots of people like to do, and dabbing it up to give the paper a little interest, since distress inks do react with water. And now I'm putting some Copic white ink on an acrylic block, and then I'm just going to get it a little bit thinner so that it sprays a little easier. And then I'm just going to flick it onto the card. So it's just little white dots. It's sort of kind of in my head snow. And since I'm using a little bit of silver on the card, I have the new Hero Arts metallic ink. And I haven't used it yet, so I'm kind of interested to see how it works. I'm adding a little bit of water to that, and I'm going to flick it just like I did the white Copic ink. This can be a little messy, so you might want to use a box, but I didn't. Anyhow, here are the final results. Now you can kind of see all the little detail in there. It's hard to see at the silver. Now, the folks that wanted to see the process, here's the snowflake die and ornament, which is actually 3 pieces. And I ran it through on purpose, lots of different ways, because this is part of the process. And so I thought I'd leave it in. I'm just kind of fiddling around, seeing what fits, how thick the paper needs to be. I run the die through with wax paper to help release it. This die is very delicate, and it sometimes can be hard to get little pieces out, and that will help you. And so then I'm just kind of going to fit around with my circles. My circle dies are from Fawn. And I know I need to have a bigger circle die so that the ornament can spin freely. But in my figuring out stuff, I lost my train of thought and wound up going wildly off the track. And it started a whole new card in my process. But I did want to leave it in, warts and all, so that you could see what I did. Now I'm just kind of stacking these together, and I'm going to use some glue to glue them together. It probably would be easier to use the Stick It. And I'm just laying out things, and then I remember that you need to have a mirror image of the ornament, so I have to go ahead and get that die cut. Now I'm just fitting in the sentiments to see which one I like. This is from the Gina K Stamp Timber set, and it's sold out right away, but it's just a nice season's greetings sentiment. So now it's time to get to the die cutting, and I just eyeball. I'm not much of a measurer, as I have admitted before, so I eyeball this, and this is where I made my mistake. I should have used the big circle die, but since I accidentally cut that out, I can't use the interior part as the interior part of my card, which was what I was going to save it for. So now I'm trimming down that blue piece so that it will fit nicely on the outside of the card and leave just a smidge of a border. Oh, I guess this is where I made the big boo-boo. That must have been for the inside piece so that I could cover any adhesive for the strings. This is where I put on the ornament die. I was going to use the big circle, save that big circle blue piece and put it on the inside of the card, and I don't. But I do wind up with a beautiful blue snowflake ornament when I'm done, which I turned into a place card name tag here. You'll see that in a little bit. And I made an impression on the card below so that you could, so I could see where I was going when I went to die cut the inside circle and when I was putting on my 2-inch circle. And I fiddle with this and fiddle with this because I'm like, oh man, I really screwed up. So we just go with it, and I'm just going to die cut the circle out and wing it. It wouldn't be me if something went, you know, as planned anyway. I'm sorry, some of this is off camera, but I'm just sort of now doing the realization of, oh crap. So now I need to do the inside, the covering sheet with the same circle die. That way when I glue the string and everything, you won't see any of that. Although it really isn't bad and it probably wouldn't have to be done, but it did add some stability to the front of the card. Then all those holes, and I still wound up having to make a hole so that there would be one exactly in the center of the ornament. And so I just took my needle tool and made one and just threaded it through. And I'm just going to let you watch this because it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, so at the end of the video, while we're doing this though, my son dotted the I in the script Ohio for the Ohio State Marching Band, and that was such an honor and a lot of planning and work because there are parties. It's kind of like a wedding. So that's why I haven't been on the videos lately. But he did wind up on national television on Fox TV. We're so proud. And I do want to remind you that I have my whole thought process and everything on my blog, the darbycreekdiaries.blogspot.com. And I'm just trying to get my spinner all situated. Get it tied on. That'll all be covered with the inside paper that I made. And I put a little bit of glue at the top just for good measure. There's not really room to put any tape, but it's knotted on pretty well. Next, we're doing the sentiment. I wound up using white ink and white detail embossing powder, and I'm just sort of figuring out where I want it. I did not want to screw this up, even though it would have just been the metallic paper to fix, but at this point, I just wanted to get it done and have it nice and get a move on. But I also want to tell you, absolutely use your powder tool because you don't want little flecks of white embossing powder everywhere. It'll kind of leave a little powdery thing, but you can wipe that off later. And that was the Bruce Monroe white ink, but any white ink will do. Hero Arts Unicorn White's a great ink. I just kind of got my pad stained, so I didn't use it. And you got to be careful because sometimes things will lift up with this. And this is a new stamp, so it really wasn't probably seasoned properly either. But there's the sentiment, and now my favorite part of every card is the heat embossing. That is what got me into stamping, and that's probably what keeps me into stamping. Make sure you heat up your heat tool for about 15 seconds and do this as fast as possible. It does warp the card, but it's okay because I glued it down and it's fine. And there's our finished spinner. Yay! It was a process, and I probably wouldn't do 100 of these for my friends and relatives at Christmas, but it is fun for a one of. And then this is the place card setting that I made using that blue cutout. I just added some cat scrappiness little sequins. I cut a back flat so that it would sit at the table nicely. And there are the projects. And here is my son. I'm so proud of him. And if you're an Ohio State fan, you know what that means. I hope you'll consider subscribing, sharing with your friends, coming back to see me, and go visit my blog, thedarbycreekdiaries.blogspot.com. I appreciate you stopping by, and here are a couple more videos that you might be interested in. I hope you get to craft something, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.